It's very much still the early days of artificial intelligence being an everyday tool, and I think it's clear that right now the threat it poses is not the technology itself, but the biased and thoughtless humans who are programming it. Like, for example, the picture you're looking at right now, which was widely distributed across social media and framed by many as an example of personal politics being injected into a tool which isn't supposed to have any. My own experience is that it's incredibly easy to detect this bias in publicly available AI. The first opinion it offers on a topic always seems to skew in a certain direction, and producing pictures seems to be, as you can see, something of a minefield. Basically, rather than AI deciding to go power mad, I'm much more concerned about Nick Bostrom's idea of us all getting turned into paperclips, or some kind of ideologically driven government AI spiralling out of control, or like in M3gan, a robot child that's been programmed to do anything it can to physically and emotionally protect a little girl. So let's talk about the plot. It's actually several genres at once: horror, thriller, comedy, satire, all mixed up, delicately balanced and subtle. In the opening scene, we see a family in a snowstorm on holiday and trying to get to wherever they're going. They're clearly not used to the weather conditions and sound like they're very much middle-class, university-educated millennials who spent their entire life living in a Western city and have the views and life skills that comes with that upbringing. While the husband and wife argue about what they should do, their daughter sits in the back and plays with her talking doll. Sadly, tragedy strikes and the car gets hit by an oncoming vehicle. The only survivor is the daughter, Katie, who has to go and live with her aunt Gemma. Gemma is single, works in robotics and focuses on her career. She's got no idea how to be a parent, but she does have a prototype doll which can walk, talk, and spend time teaching her niece Katie the life skills that a preteen needs. Gemma introduces her to the robot M3gan and programs M3gan to deal with Katie's needs. Movies that rely on child actors can be tricky, but the one here is good. She plays her character as soft and naive, and has a believable relationship with the doll, which actually made me feel a bit more sympathy for the robot when things started getting out of hand. We find out the reason the robot is growing out of control is because Gemma programmed it incorrectly. She asked it to bond to the child and didn't set in any backups to override that. This is an interesting theme throughout the movie. The adults range from flawed and fallible to outright awful, whether it's the parents or the aunt or the boss or the neighbour or the sandwich mum or the laughing policeman. Everyone says or does something that's obviously inappropriate. This feels like a smart movie pretending to be dumb, the kind of thing movies used to be on a regular basis, with sympathetic, believable main characters who have clear motives and sometimes do the wrong thing. Beyond the main characters, the supporting cast can be kind of flat and undeveloped, but that's not meant as a criticism. The supporting cast add their bit to the story and then disappear. I guess that making the characters flawed, and in some cases in the supporting cast outright awful, means you can push the envelope further in terms of the horror elements of the movie. For example, the child in the woods, the bad kid that M3gan deals with, is a complete caricature in terms of the writing. But for me, that just softens the gore elements of how M3gan deals with him. And I think it's similar with the neighbour, who M3gan treats abysmally. But the fact it's kind of like a stage play, like I say, it only really concentrates on the main characters. The fact that many of M3gan's victims are so lightly drawn helps the movie stay in the realms of comedy and satire for longer. But on re-watching, it seemed very effective in making you sympathetic to the doll's position. It's like this small bubble world, like a stage play that gets more and more intense by focusing so much on the main three characters. In terms of a vibe, I'd say M3gan reminds me a lot of Gremlins. The character of M3gan, the robot, is very well realised, able to turn from, on the one hand, singing a song for her preteen charge, but also showing an increasing comfort with violence as the movie goes on. It's only really in the final fight that the robot feels fully malevolent. On a rewatch, I'd say the pacing holds up very well. There's all these little signs that things are wrong. It builds up slowly and finally lets loose at the end. I don't think I'm giving any spoilers there by saying that. It's not a groundbreaking movie in any way, but it's really well done. You've got a great cast, particularly Ronnie Chieng as the evil corporate boss. It's basically a character that you've seen in every 80s movie, but he sells it really well. So I'd say M3gan is an unexpectedly clever and funny movie, and also has something to say underneath it. It's well worth a watch. Thanks for watching.